everybody? This is Jeff from Build an Aquarium Workshop. And I know it has been a while. I apologize for that since we've done a video. So we're back at you here. And we promise to do more videos. So thank you, loyal subscribers. Thank you for even new people who are watching my video. I really appreciate it. This is really for anybody who, who wants to set up a very low maintenance, small, like office tank. First one, it is a 3-gallon rimless cube, and we made it into a beta tank, Siamese fighting fish. Oh yeah, I love this tank. It's sitting on the counter. We're gonna get to it soon. I'm gonna show you how I set it up. I was so excited to set that up as a natural ecosystem. Okay, and that's kind of like this reef tank. We like to set it up where it's in equilibrium. We don't have to do much to it, very low maintenance. We don't want to do a lot of water changes. We don't have any, unlike this tank though, we don't have any equipment for this tank. We don't have, all we have is a light. That's it. We don't have a filter. There's no heater, and we have our beta, and he's kind of like this. Remember what this, a lot of you are saying that book is really old, and it is. This book right here is from 1967. I wasn't even born. Has a lot changed? Probably not. So it says, if you look at the title here, it says, "Enjoy the fighting fish from Siam," which is where they're from, okay? So that's Southeast Asia. You can look it up on the map. But what has changed? Back in the day, we were like, we could get a beta splendens, right? That's it! Male, female, okay? And the males had all the finnage and the coloration, and those are the ones that most people would get, unless they were going to breed them. We are going to show, for those, especially for beginners, people who are thinking, you just went into your pet store or fish store, and your kid's yelling at you, "I want a goldfish," or one of these, right? The fighting fish. Everybody calls them, fighting fish, or beta. That's what everybody calls them. They have gone way up in prices, and because there's a lot of hybrids out there. There's a lot of these with fancy colors and finnage that it's exciting. If you're a beta fan, it's very exciting because we had a lot less selection, back in the 70s and 80s. I'm going to show you what I have, and I think you're going to be excited because you're like, oh, this is low maintenance. This is what I want. And so let's go look at the beta, and let's go look at our setup. All right, here we are. Here it is, and it looks very, very green. And there is our male beta, as you can see. Okay, and some of you are looking at this and going, "Oh my gosh, what is that in there?" Yeah, so let's talk about this setup, how I set it up. And I'm getting ready to prune this back. Okay, it's like a moss algae. It was in another video, and this stuff will grow in almost anything and almost any pH. And as you can see, even without a filter, this thing is a filter clogger. I had it in another tank, and it just grows on everything. Even down there on the gravel, it will grow on your heater. And like I said, the big thing is if you put this in an aquarium with a filter, that would be a big mistake because it will clog the filter. As you can see, it's picture perfect. Look at this little guy. Oh, and he's waiting for me to feed him. And usually his bubble nest is blown up quite a bit here, which is another benefit of not having a filter, although you could get probably a little internal filter or something that didn't move the water too much because the bubble nest will break apart if you have too strong of a flow. Now this beta was in a bowl for 6 months, and I did adopt him. He was from a Petco store for one of the employees who had this beautiful fish. And you can see, so we got a little clip-on light. This is the 3-gallon cube by Aqueon, okay? And you can find them at, I think, believe PetSmart as well. And then we have the C-Chem, the plant gravel in here. It's a natural. It's that slow-releasing iron as well as other trace elements for plants. And we put in a couple little stones. There's actually 2 here and 1 around the corner. And then this right here, if I show you, is actually a piece of driftwood that this moss has grown on. Now, the other thing I put in here, I recently set up a pond, and I went and saw some duckweed. Everybody knows duckweed, so here you go. Look at, there's your duckweed right there. Also another thing that loves to get into filtrations systems, right? But there's no filter, so I put the duckweed in here because I was like, here, let me get a close-up. I put the duckweed in here because I was like, oh, this is perfect, There's nothing to worry about. And, of course, everybody will tell you the whole purpose of having this moss or algae and the plant, the duckweed, is, of course, to help as a natural biological filter. It's supposed to suck up the nitrogen in the water so that I don't have to do many water changes, okay? And because I have yet, it's been a whole month, I've yet to siphon out any water. All I've done is top this aquarium off, and that's it. And so how low maintenance is that, huh? Now, going forward, will I have to change water out? Well, probably. We're going to do, one thing I found out is I'm out of a nitrate test kit. I don't have any more solution. I ran out. But I do have a pH tester, ammonia and nitrite. I have tested those. We're going to look at that and see how we're doing after a month. And then let's look at that, and then let's feed him. I'll show you what we're feeding him. We're feeding him a really nice variety of dry and frozen foods. And all right, and you can see the lid. It doesn't quite fit on. It really does, except that because of the clip-on light, there's like a little gap there. And you know, you could take this rear piece off here. But I don't want, you know, anything to get in there, and it helps with the evaporation, because the less evaporation, the better, and the less I have to actually top off. And like I said, my whole goal here, which would be most aquarists' goal, especially if you're a first-time aquarist, is, you know, less equipment, less water changes, and just more enjoying your fish, right? Just having to feed. I just take off the lid, and he's not too shy, and I just feed him a variety of foods, which we're going to look at. Okay, so let's just talk about how well is this water doing. Okay, let's look at that. Okay, so here is our water testing. So like we said, we used a high-range pH test kit. That's here with the card. Of course, you know, this is Aquarium Pharmaceuticals. You can get many companies, different test kits. These are liquid test kits for freshwater. They're always been very easy. You just put a certain amount of drops. For this, a high-range pH, it's 5 drops. It's a little different than the regular pH. And I knew that the water here starts at 8.0 when it comes out of the tap. The tap water that I use for this aquarium comes out at 8.0. I do use a water conditioner, of course, to get rid of the chlorine and so forth, and condition the water before I put it in here, and even when I set it up. So this is a high-range pH test kit, because 8.0 is going to be a little too high for the regular test kit. So here we go. So you can see this against the white background. I brought these cards out so you can see it. It's that purple, and the purple, surprisingly, we're going to have to do some problem shooting, because for some reason, the pH is up here. It started, if you look at this card, the pH started at 8.0 when you test it, which is this brown, and now it's up to this purple. It's gone to 8.4, maybe even 8.5. So it has gone up 0.4, 0.5. Not sure why. There's no crushed coral. There's no calcium carbonate, nothing like that that's raising the pH of this. So that unless it's these rocks, that's usually the biggest culprit. I would not guess the substrate, which I'm using, again, Seachem. The beta, I would love it to be around 7.5, but the pH hasn't dropped out, and of course, the more I top it off, it starts at 8, so the more I top it off, it wants to be close to 8, right? But I'm trying not to do any water changes, so that, you know, as he goes to the bathroom, the acids are released, and the pH starts going down. Even with this driftwood, you would think tannins would be released, and you know, that also, we're talking acids, so that would also drive the pH down. And that obviously is not happening. Something's happening where the pH is going up. We might have to change out some of this water, because we really don't want it to go any higher than that. So we're going to keep an eye on that, which is the reason why you want to test when you start, at least every so often, to make sure that, you know, things are going okay. Now, ammonia. Here's the next one, ammonia. Look at that. You can see it in the light. It's clear, which is great. Ammonia is 0. I never saw this tank go through a cycle, because it never got cloudy. As you can see, there's some algae I need to scrub off the glass. Not much, a little bit. And believe it or not, I don't have to. I've only scrubbed it a couple times, and not just barely, because a lot of algae isn't growing, which is what you would expect with this right here, this moss or algae. It's really super competitive. It's absorbing all the nutrients in the water. Now, how do we know? Well, we'd want to look at nitrate, which I don't have that test kit. But if we look at nitrite, which is the next step in the nitrogen cycle, you got ammonia, you got nitrite, then you got the end product, which is nitrate. This is light blue, which is 0. If you look at, you know, I don't have the card here, but you can look at the card, and light blue is 0, which I would expect. You know, anytime a tank cycles, you know, you go through the ammonia, you go through the nitrate, and then nitrate, that end product, is what's left. This is, here he goes, he's nestling in he loves to hide in there. We designed it so that, you know, he could pretty much hide anywhere, and he doesn't have to be in constant bright light. He could be, and even down here's a nice little shadowy area that he could be in. And, you know, he likes to hang out. The betas, he really likes to hang out in the shadowy areas, unless he sees me come up, in which case he's like, okay, it's time for food. Okay, so what are we feeding him? Let me show you that next. All right, so what does this lucky fish get? Well, of course, it's a basic staple. First thing that a fish store would sell you with your beta is these beta pellets, right? Dry food, comes in a pellet form. He loves them. He loves these pellets, believe it or not. Definitely want to get yourself some sort of pellet. This is also by Aqueon. Okay, they last quite a while. This is a big amount in here. So, and you can see I'll show you, they're actually very small. All right, we opened it up, and there you go. There's a little pellets right there. So they're perfect bite size for him. In fact, we're gonna leave that open. We're gonna give him a couple. Next thing up, he loves, almost all fish love, frozen brine shrimp. And this is San Francisco Bay, but you can get other brands. You can get it with spirulina if you want. Brine shrimp, oh my gosh, I feed it to all my fish. Gotta have this, absolutely, definitely get your fish brine shrimp, because brine shrimp is a good staple to have. All right, next thing that we feed them is this mysis shrimp. I also give the mysis shrimp to my cichlids, as well as the community and the saltwater fish as well, eat it, and the beta. So this one's by Omega 1, so there's a different company right there. You can buy the most affordable one if you want. The fish aren't too particular. They usually will love it and eat it up. And lastly, one thing I heavily recommend to feed is, of course, bloodworms. Back to San Francisco Bay. Frozen bloodworms. These are the red ones. These are the big juicy ones. And he loves these. Wow, he really goes crazy for these. I don't know what it is, but betas love bloodworms. So, you know, get your frozen bloodworms. You know, of course, all you got to do is thaw out a little bit of it. They come in cubes here, in a little cube format. You just throw out a little bit. I feed him at least a couple times a day, but he gets a variety. So I don't just, you know, necessarily give him one thing. It just depends. I try to mix it up so that he gets a little of everything. And so, as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and get it set up where we're going to give him a pellet, because I've teased him enough. He's come up. He's like, what? No food? What are you doing here? So let's feed him. All right, here we go with his pellet. Here it comes. Get ready. There it is. And boom. He already, that was so fast. And he already ate today. This is actually his second feeding. So let's give him one more. Here you go, little guy. Ready? There he goes. Boom. He hit it again. And you can see how he really chomps on it. And that's the pellets. You know, you want to feed him small amounts daily. If you could give him two or three feedings, that's better than one big feeding. And it's got light, which we didn't talk about. This is the Aqueon light. Okay, so you got Aqueon there, and it's just a simple on and off button. It's I'm going to put it on a timer here. All the rest of my aquariums are on timers. This one's not, but I'm going to. Worst case scenario, we're going to have to do some water changes. We might change the water source. That'd be the easiest thing to do. Changing the water source to a neutral pH would really be helpful, and we would do it in stages. We wouldn't just change it all out, because going from 8.4 to 7.0 would not be recommended. Please feel free to ask any questions. There's a lot of great stuff online. That way, you know, you're looking at the most current information. And, you know, feel free to like, comment, and, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel, because we're going to bring more videos to you. Videos like this, and the next one is on another rimless cube that I just set up, and that one is a beautiful plant tank with some driftwood and community fish, and it is well worth seeing. So we're going to do that in our next video. All right, folks, thanks again for watching, and we shall see you in the next video. Have a good day.